Good afternoon, everyone. It's Monday today, and yesterday we did the tour of Cambridgeshire, and it was our first century ride. So the route itself was just shy of 102 miles. And yeah, I kind of need to sign the video off. Like a bit of a numpty, even though I recorded everything yesterday, I somehow managed to switch the sound off. And so all of the bits where I was talking to the camera, there's no sound because I'm basically an idiot. I don't really know what happened there. But yeah, so there's lots of clips of me talking to the camera and you can't actually hear what I'm saying, so I apologise for that. So I thought I'd just give you a quick run through, really, obviously show you some of the footage that we got, and just give you a bit of a run through of the day. Wow. I think I'm being photobombed by some pigeons. So today, yeah, at the moment I'm just in Christchurch Park, so we got back from Peterborough this morning, or lunchtime. I thought I'd pop in for a very quick swim, which I should be doing in a moment. So yeah, we got there yesterday. It was really, really windy, and because it's around Cambridgeshire, and a lot of it is obviously very flat, there was nothing to sort of protect us from the wind. But it was great. I mean, we had closed roads, and it was really odd. Like, you still just have this ingrained thing in you of constantly checking behind you for traffic and looking at junctions and stuff. You just can't help yourself. But it was so nice not having to worry about the traffic. But I have to say, I'm going to be completely honest, before we'd even got to the showground, I wasn't feeling it. I don't think I was feeling ill or anything. I just mentally wasn't prepared for the day, and obviously, decided we would do it. I just wasn't feeling it, and we hadn't been set off very long, and it was clearly going to be a hot day despite the wind. And straight away, I was thinking of my experience last year on the tour ride, where it was really, really hot, and I got to the last stop and almost had heat stroke and nearly didn't finish. And already I was starting to worry and panic that was going to happen again. We had, I think, about 44 miles to the first stop, so it was obviously quite a trek as well. And we weren't sure if when we were going to get water next. Basically, we assumed that the first time we would get water was 44 miles, and because it was so hot, you wanted to just drink it, but we were having to ration. It just so happened there was a sort of a water pit stop, I think about 30 miles in, which was good. We were just a bit annoyed that we weren't told that was going to happen, because perhaps we would have rationed our water a bit better. But yeah, so we got some water and then went off to the first stop. And when we got to the first stop, there was basically no food left. I think there were a couple of gels, and that was basically it. There was no water left, and there was a bit of a riot going on because, understandably, people, we all needed water, and the people that were there had no explanation as to why there was no water left. They'd run out, and we all couldn't believe it, because we thought, well, you knew how many people were attending the event. Surely, you could at least arrange for some water. And it just so happened, as we were having a chat to one of the guys there, we saw a man with a van who just happened to have a couple of pallets of water. And so Mark, my other half, went over and said, look, is this water being handed out? And so he managed to get us bottles, and then everyone else had to sort of fight over the rest. So we did manage to get some water, but we really weren't very happy, and we were just thankful that actually we decided we would be self-sufficient food-wise and take all the food that we needed. So the fact there wasn't any food there didn't necessarily affect us too much. But it was really frustrating. I mean, it was 80 quid to go into this event. But anyway, we got to the stop, we stopped, we had a wee or whatever, and then we got going again. And then for the next 20-30 miles, it was pretty flat. And for a good portion of it, we actually had quite a nice tailwind, so that was quite nice. We just flew along, and the next 20 miles until the next stop literally flew by. And yeah, got to the next stop assuming, okay, we'd get some water and some food. No, there's still no water and no food. They had started to fill up bottles from a hose pipe, so we took what we could get, basically, but we weren't, particularly me, with this sensitive tummy, wasn't very happy about taking hose from some random hose pipe. So again, weren't very impressed, and there were a lot of disgruntled people. And at that point, I think we were 64 odd miles in, and I'm not going to lie, I think for a good 80-90% of that whole time, I was constantly having a battle with my head that I couldn't do it. I just convinced myself I couldn't do it. and we kept trying to convince, trying to reassure each other that this would be the one and only time we would have to do the 100 miles. Let's just tick it off the list, and we've got this far around now. We're over halfway, and we can't give up now, really. It would be a real shame to give up now and then have to try and tick it off again, at some point in the future. So yeah, we made it to the second stop, had a 5-minute rest, and then set off again, and that's when it got really hard. So we had a bit more of the fens left, and the sun had gone in, thankfully, but the winds, I mean, they were like 25 mile an hour winds, straight, like head on, and you're putting out the amount of effort that you probably would have expected to do a sort of 16, 17 mile an hour average, and it was like 12 or something. And although there were quite a few of us around, and we worked as groups, sort of took turns and things, it was just such hard work. And after a couple of hours of riding around the fens, which was it was pretty, but after a couple of hours got very, very samey, at the point where perhaps you needed something to take your mind off what was going on. Everything's starting to hurt, and you've just started to have enough, really, by that point. But then the third stop came around, I think it was about 85, 86 miles in, and lo and behold, there was food, there were brownies, there were flapjacks, there were sausage rolls. It was bloody lovely, and they'd got water, and it was really, really nice, and it was a bit of a nice pick-me-up then for those last sort of 20 or so miles back to the base. I think we got a bit of a second wind at that point, knowing that we were so close to the finish line, and so yeah, tried to push on for home. At least the medal was pretty decent. Unfortunately, I haven't got it with me to show you, but I think I did get some footage at the end of the race. And then, yeah, got some chips and a beer and a cider, and that went down so well. And then, consequently, because that went right to our head, we then got lost trying to find our way back to the hotel. But as much as I moaned about the event, and as much as I struggled in my mind, I'm so glad that we've done it, and it was an awesome feeling knowing that we ticked it off the list. And we met some cracking people along the way as well, and there was one lady, and I'm sure I did get her on footage, I'll have to have a look, who we spotted it straight away up ahead of us, a lady riding along in a Crohn's and colitis jersey, and so had a little chat with her. And yeah, it was her son that had got ulcerative colitis. She and her brother-in-law were riding the event to raise money for Crohn's and colitis. So yeah, it was, despite the struggle and despite the fact that I hated myself for doing it for the vast majority of the event, looking back, actually, I did really, really enjoy myself, and I'm really, really pleased that I got to get my kit out there and show that off all around the event. Unfortunately, I thought that a couple of my teamies were going to be doing the event, and if they did, I need to find out. I certainly didn't see them, so unfortunately didn't get any photographs with them or anything. So yeah, unfortunately that didn't happen. But yeah, I think all in all it was a good day, and we enjoyed it. And when we popped up there on Saturday to register, they'd got like this time trial events going on. So I'm quite tempted to maybe have a little go at that next year, but we will see. So that's about it, guys. Yes, see you again soon. Bye. Morning everyone, it's Sunday the 2nd of June, and I am here at the East of England Showground in Peterborough to do the Tour of Cambridgeshire, and it's 100 miles, my first entry, so this is going to be interesting. I got a new cheap action camera for today because my other one I dropped a few times because it got a few chips out of the lens and stuff. So the plan was to have one camera on the front of the bike and then one camera on a selfie stick in my pockets. As you can probably see, I've got a lot of stuff in my pockets, and so I couldn't justify fitting the selfie stick in there as well, unfortunately. I needed to fit some food in there, so I'm just going to have the camera on the front of the bike. So I don't think I'm going to get many shots of me riding as such, but hopefully we'll get some good shots of the event and the scenery as we go round. So I've had to put shelter out of the wind because it's really windy up here, unfortunately, today. We're now going to go and get queued up in the queue, and then we set off at 10:30, which is in about 45 minutes time. So I'll probably speak to you next at the first stop, which is about 40 odd miles in, and hopefully we'll be still feeling a bit positive. So yeah, we'll see how we go.
Well, it's time to start the show. Lost my heart and lost my soul. time that you won't know. Lost my mind and lost my goal. Not giving in.